Kayla Harrison joins the show. Hey, Kayla, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for making time for us. I know you are in high demand, so it is quite an honor here to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm so busy. I was actually going to jump in there and tell you that, yeah, Khabib's got pretty good takedowns, but does he have 2 Olympic gold medals? But you said it for me.
No, he does not have 2 Olympic gold medals. He certainly doesn't. You do. So let's get right down to it. You had a great win at your last PFL event. It did go a little bit longer than I expected, you know. It went to the 3rd round. I have to say, I think that's a positive. Extra ring time, plus you got the win, and I'm looking at your face. It appears to be totally unscathed. Were you surprised it went that long?
Yeah, I was. I mean, initially, I actually got off the mat, or got out of the cage, and I was really upset. Really frustrated, really emotional about it because, you know, I want to be the best in the world, and you can't be the best in the world if it's taking you that long to put away people, in my opinion. But once I calmed down, once I talked to Mike and Big Jim, and I talked to Tony and sort of let the emotions settle, I realized, like, that's invaluable experience. I mean, it's good to know. One of the biggest things I was always concerned with during training was my gas tank, because I just always felt like I wasn't in great shape for MMA for some reason. Like in judo, I always felt like I could have 20 matches in a day, and I would always be in better shape than all of my opponents. And in MMA, I get so tired so fast. So I really had a lot of anxiety about my gas tank, but it's good to know that, you know, I felt just as fresh in the 3rd round as I did in the 1st. So I'm happy with it. What
is the difference between training cardio for judo and training cardio for MMA?
It's just a different, you know, it's a totally different sport. I mean, first of all, judo, your matches are spread out. So you have 1 5-minute fight, and then you get a break, and then you have another 5-minute fight, and then you get a break. And like, then you have a 2-hour break or an hour break. In MMA, you do it all, you know, you get a minute. So the pace is a lot different. I'm used to going just straight forward, just barreling through people, which is still sort of the kind of pace I want to have in MMA. But again, it's a different sport. So when you talk about conditioning for striking, I don't have that yet. You know, I'm not really comfortable on my feet like how I want to be. So I get a lot more tired when there's distance than if we're in the clinch.
I spoke years ago to, you know him, Roddy Ferguson. I don't know if, I think you were on an Olympic team with him. He made the argument that judo should have a lot of, say again, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I said I was 14 when he was on the Olympic team, but I do know Roddy.
Well, you know, look, my dates are off. What are you going to do? But he made an argument to me years ago that there should be high striking transference from MMA to judo if you're an elite competitor, obviously, because of all of the gripping and the explosion in the gripping. There's no transference?
No, I mean, I can see that. I can definitely see what he's talking about. But it's just, you know, grabbing a gi and holding on to someone and pushing and pulling, and that is so much different than having the quick reflex of throwing out a jab. You know, yes, my hand speed is fast because I'm used to grabbing a gi, but really it's not like I'm not anywhere close to what a boxer would be or a kickboxer would be. Like, that speed is something that I have to learn.
I want to get back to your Sorry, I want to get back to your MMA fight in just a second, but this has been burning in my mind. I've been thinking a lot about it. How much did you tape your fingers together? And how much do you miss the ability to tape your fingers together?
Well, I'm really lucky that I didn't have a lot of hand injuries in judo. I broke my thumb when I was really young, and I have a pin in there. But other than that, I only taped, usually, like, if I would bust a knuckle or something, like, I would tape these 2 fingers together. And I don't miss it that much, to be honest, because it's like such a pain. Every single workout you have to tape, like, it's like wrapping your hands. Now that's what I equate it to. Like, taping my fingers was like wrapping my hands, like every single workout. It's just another added step that I just want to get on the mat and work out. Like, let's just do it.
All right, so you mentioned you got off the mat, the cage anyway, against Josette Cotton, and your team talked you off the ledge. What did they say to you?
Well, Big Jim told me to stop my goddamn crying and shut up. And Mike was really happy. Dio was really happy. You know, I implemented my jab a lot. I was moving my head a lot. I got to the takedown safely. I they were really happy with everything. They thought I looked a lot better, a lot more well-rounded. And Mike just kept saying, like, listen, this is great experience. This is what you need. And Tony was like, look, he was like, that is way scarier than you going out and submitting someone in the first round. Like, if you go out and submit a girl, he said, I think girls will still think they can, there's a chance they can hang with you. Oh, she's not well-rounded, this or that. But he's like, you go out there and you instill your will like that for 3 rounds. He's like, that's scary. No girl's going to want to fight you now. And I was like, okay, I feel a little better.
Is that really something you want? I know this fight was a little bit hard to materialize because they are having some degree of difficulty. And I think, frankly, any promoter would in finding requisite opposition at this weight class. First of all, how is that going in terms of what your expectations are in the future? And do you actually think this fight will hinder your chances a little?
I don't know. I'm not a matchmaker. That's not my job. My job is just to get in the cage and fight. I hope it doesn't make it harder to get fights. I think there are a lot of girls out there who are happy to talk, but hopefully they don't just talk. They put up and get in the cage with me. But it's tough. 155, I think a lot of people have doubts about 155 because it's such a big weight class. It's very underdeveloped in the women's MMA community. So if I have to go down to get some fights, then I have to go down.
But I'm guessing you don't want to make that drop down until you get a little bit more experience underneath your feet, if I'm reading you correctly.
Yeah, look, first of all, I don't believe in cutting weight. I just don't. I think it's terrible for your body. I think if you're going to win, you're going to win at whatever weight you compete at. And I think it's sending a bad message to young girls and young kids all around. I don't want anyone, especially like my niece or someone, to think that, oh, to be thinner is to be better. Like, I just don't believe in that. You're big, you're strong, you're powerful. That's the message that I want to send. But I do realize that if I want to be considered the best in the world, I have to beat the best. And that person is at 145 pounds. So I walk around at about 160 when it's not post-fight week. And, I know that I have to go down there. PFL is I'm really fortunate that they feel the same way as me. They said, listen, we want you to be strong. We want you to be healthy. We know that when you're healthy, you put on a better fight. That's what they want their athletes to do. They want them to put on great shows. And they want to make that as possible, as physically capable and possible for them. So I think, as long as I can fight at 155, I will. But I know that the time is coming. We even talked about this fight being at 150 because we couldn't find an opponent. But thankfully, Josette stepped up and we got it done.
So what's the plan for – I want to get back to the weight cutting thing in a minute. But for now, what is the plan for 2018? You got 2 fights under your belt. They both went all your way. There's still some time left on the calendar. Are you thinking you could squeeze one more in this year?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you do,
it's in my contract to fight every 4 months. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely have to get one more in. All right, and that would likely be at 155 as well, right?
Yeah, if I can, but like I said, I'm willing to go down to get some good competition so that I think people start taking me a little more seriously. But I'll fight whatever weight. I think 145 is the lowest I can go, so I shouldn't say whatever weight, but I'm ready.
Now, during judo, 2 questions. Did you not cut weight at all? And also, did you have to weigh in with the gi?
No, we don't weigh in with the gi. Weigh-ins for judo used to be the morning of the tournament. Now they're the night before, but they do a random weight check the next day. So 4 competitors from each weight class are randomly selected, and if they're not within 5% of the weight, then they're not allowed to compete. So it really deters athletes from cutting a ton of weight. Like if you fight 100 kilos and you weigh over 105 the next day, you can't compete. And I never cut any weight in judo. I actually walked around about 5 to 10 pounds underweight, and I was eating like 6,000 calories a day, living my best life, because I just don't, I'm also hypoglycemic. So food is a really, it's a kind of a big deal for me. I think a little bit more so than maybe some other athletes. And, like I said, I just don't, I don't know. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in the message it sends.
You know what's interesting? I actually think your worldview is really the only way to combat it. It's not that you can't do things. I know NCAA wrestling has employed a number of considerations and procedures to combat it. They've had some success with it after they had a couple or a few guys die. And I'm not saying that weight cutting in MMA can't be fixed to some degree, but honestly, I just think athletes have to have your attitude. I'm at my best when I compete at my best, which is not dehydrated. Do you have any ideas about ways they could solve weight cutting?
I think that, the judo idea is a really good idea. The random next day weight check, maybe not 5% or 7%, something like that. But you have these guys cutting 40, 50, whatever pounds. Like I can't even fathom cutting 50 pounds and then believing that I can step into a cage at my very best 24 hours later. Never mind, like, physically how I would feel, but you have to think about the kind of, like, you're not swinging a baseball bat. People are, punching you in the head. You dehydrate, you're also dehydrating your brain. Like, what's the number one thing that keeps your brain safe? It's the water, Like, that's just, to me, it's like, I'm surprised that commissions allow it as of now. I've never had like MRIs or, blood tests and all of that to do a judo tournament. They do all of these tests as commissions to make sure you're healthy and you can fight, but they're going to let you cut 50 pounds. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Let's talk about the fight itself against Josette. You know what I saw? I saw some double legs. Saw some double legs from you, Judo, Kayla. Hey, what was the thought process there? It looks to me like you always have the ace in the hole, right, if you need it. But this is the opportunity to begin to implement some of those things you've been working on. Is that a fair read?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, American Top Team is one of the best. I mean, I think it's the best gym in the world, and I think our grappling is second to none. Mako, a great wrestling coach. Mike, obviously my head coach, has a wrestling background. And for me, I pick up grappling a lot faster than I pick up any other martial arts. So the wrestling was a lot easier for me to pick up than the striking. And, our whole process is if I can't take them down in the clinch, then I can go below, or I can shoot a double, or I can, that just makes me much more well-rounded. I can take you down from any position, like a Khabib.
Fair enough. What was the best thing about your last fight? What was the thing that surprised you the most in terms of difficulty in your last fight?
I think the best thing about the fight was just how relaxed I was. There were even a couple times where I got close to her, but I didn't take her down. And instead of panicking and just like zombie reaching, I was able to sort of reset, stay calm, stay patient, go again for the, striking into the takedown. I think the most difficult part was just how tough she was. Obviously I was upset I didn't get the armbar in the first round. But again, MMA is not judo. You have to be smart. So it's position before submission. I knew that there was short time, so that's why I decided to go for it. But if that had been 2 minutes into the round and I ended up on bottom, that I might not have won that round. So I'm happy with how my ability to understand MMA and sort of take my skill set and put it to good use inside of a cage is coming along. But I was definitely surprised with how long it took me to put her away. She was very, very sturdy, very durable. It's also tough too, no elbows. I think maybe it would have been a little bit different had I been able to throw some elbows, but it is what it is.
You're in the PFL. They don't allow elbows, but it is a very fighter-friendly organization. And I know we spoke we spoke a while ago before you'd even gotten your first fight. You had some, what I would call pretty understandable trepidation, or at least some apprehension about the MMA world, the way in which it treats athleticism and competition. You're now 2 fights in, right? Have some of those concerns been assuaged?
Yes and no. I mean, again, I fight for an organization that's very pro-fighter, which I'm honored to do. They put us first. It's not about how much trash I talk or how pretty someone is or, who their manager is. It's about, who shows up and puts on a good show in the cage. And if you win, you advance. But again, it's still, I have to grow a thicker skin. I catch myself reading blogs or reading forums about what people are saying.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I know. It's a slippery slope though, man. It's hard not to. And I'm like if someone said the other day, I was reading this, so I have like a Google Alerts, so it pops up, and I clicked on it. And it said, what do you think of Kayla Harrison's personality? Just out of curiosity. And then there's this like whole forum, like debating whether or not I'm fake or like,
oh no,
I'm a man, like all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, these people don't know me. Like, why are they saying these things? But again, it is what it is. I just can't I can't go to MMA forums. I think it's just like it's not healthy.
Can I give you some unsolicited but potentially helpful advice?
Yes.
The best thing you can do as a fighter is to learn how to get an ear for criticism, because when you get someone like Anthony Pettis, he listened to not so much forums per se, but even MMA media, and like we get things wrong all the time. He was listening to criticism so much that he changed the way he fought, and I don't know that did him really any favors. I'm not saying you would do that, but the people who like comment on who you are, they have no clue who you are. They couldn't possibly have anything to say. But someone down the line might say something insightful about something much more narrowly focused and interesting. You can't block out all criticism. You just got to find the one that matters and is important and is delivered in an impactful way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. No, I hear you. And I mean, I think I take criticism pretty well. It's just when you like feel like unwarranted attacks on things that don't matter. But I have to remember I'm in an entertainment business now, not necessarily. I mean, I want it to be a sport, and I think it's on its way to becoming a sport. But I mean, people still talk about athletes all the time, don't they? So I guess it doesn't really matter if people are going to talk. But if they're talking about you, that means they're watching. So perfect.
I mean, LeBron James is out here building schools for kids, and they're still telling him to shut up and dribble, right? Like, you can't win. It's not possible to win. You know what I mean?
No, it's impossible to win. No, you're right. You're right.
Before you go, a couple more questions for you. Do you do any visualization as an athlete?
Yes, I do. Every night, all the time.
Okay, so then answer this question, madam. How long before you are carrying the title, doesn't matter the weight class, of a major MMA organization?
I picture that every night. I have since I first decided that I was going to fight. That's the end goal. It's not, sorry, my niece is with me this week and she's painting right now, but she's singing while she paints. So
it's all good. I do the same thing.
No, so I visualize it every night. I fully expect, by the end of next year, I will be one of the best, if not the best in the world.
And then I've been trying to figure out a way to shoehorn this question in, so I'm going to do it in a real meta way. How long before you do interviews where jerk jobs like me don't ask you about Ronda Rousey?
Oh, I think it's never gonna. I think that it's gonna follow me for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be 90 years old and I'm still gonna be talking about Ronda Rousey.
I also didn't watch SummerSlam last night. I'm taking you didn't either.
I didn't. What happened?
I couldn't possibly tell you, Kayla. I couldn't possibly tell you. I don't watch that stuff. So what can I say? Here's what I did watch. I did watch your fight at PFL, and you looked fantastic. You looked fantastic. I'm glad to see the growth of your career. I don't know when you're going to fight next, but if it happens to be anywhere near this studio, we would love to have you in studio here, Kayla, okay?
Absolutely. Sounds good, for sure.
Congrats on all your success, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more of it down the pipeline. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right.